welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. If you want to support my daily Eternal Magic offerings while getting amazing perks like the BoshNRoll Discord community, have me play your deck on the channel, or listen sideboard guides before tournaments, check out the Patreon or YouTube membership program. This channel is possible because of these amazing sponsors. Check them out, all their links are in the video description. As always, thanks for being here. Let's go play some Magic.
Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and this is Combo Reanimator from Patreon subscriber Cool Rob. Rob also asked me to make a Pride Month shout out to specifically the bisexuals out there, the Bs and LGBT. Shout out to all the bi homies watching the channel and out there in the world in general. The deck I've been given, as I said, is Combo Reanimator, which means there are more monsters and less little things than normal. Reanimator has been the best or a top 3. I don't think it's been below the top 3 decks in Legacy in close to a year and a half now. We had Grief Reanimator straight into Psychic Frogs, into Troll of Khazad-dûm. That's 3 cards that have been banned over the last 18 months, and the deck still remains near the top of the metagame. But Rob likes the version that goes a little harder, a little faster, rather than the one that is built for stability and can pivot on multiple plans. Instead of 2 monsters, we've got 5. There's Dark Ritual in the deck to make things go faster. We've got 4 Thoughtseizes to punch those holes, 4 Forces, 2 Dazes. We're trying to go fast, especially in game 1. I really like the pivots here of Sheoldred and the One Ring. These are things that are very respectable to accelerate with a Dark Ritual when your graveyard is not an option or you don't have an Entomb to cast. We've, of course, seen Barrow-goyf and things like Rotting Regisaur out of Oops All Spells. Dark Ritualing out a creature is not unheard of. We've also seen some builds of Doomsday over the years that have used the One Ring as a pivot, a way to dump Dark Ritual mana. It's cool to see that as sort of the low end of the deck. Like, there's no Tamios here, there's no Orcish Bowmasters. The backup plan is casting Sheoldred or the One Ring and grinding until we can get a monster into play. The sideboard, there is a little bit of options for pivots, but it's not nearly as heavy. Like, you can't get off Reanimator, really, with this build. But you can bring in Barrow-goyfs against those stompy decks where you just need something bigger than what they have. Dauthi Voidwalker for mirror matches. Brazen Borrower can answer a Leyline of the Void, but it's also kind of a creature. And the old school pivot, Show and Tell. This is what Reanimator decks were doing 3 years ago, before they figured out they could just play a bunch of creatures in the sideboard. Show and Tell, of course, gets around Graveyard Hate, but it lets you leave all your monsters in the deck. This is pretty straightforward. The goal is to put a big monster into play, and there's a couple lower end things we can do if that doesn't work out. But plan A is clear. Let's try to make it happen. This is Combo Reanimator from Cool Rob. I'm on the draw for round 1. Unfortunately, this hand is a land away from being the nuts. That's okay. We'll mulligan. There are only 15 lands in this deck. Okay, Thoughtseize, Entomb, Animate Dead, Careful Study in between. I will keep this. It's not a turn 1, but I also don't really think I'm supposed to go to 5 or 4 when I have a functional 6 in front of me. I wish I could Careful Study and then reanimate the One Ring. What do we got to do? Wizards of the Coast. Urza's Saga. Just running it out there like that tells me that this is probably an Ancient Tomb strategy, or that it is more important to them to tutor some sort of bullet quickly than it is to get constructs. Okay, they have certainly accelerated some mana. I don't know what exactly the timelines are going to be, but we are viewing this, or I am recording this at the time when Urza's Saga still dies to Blood Moon. Not that that's going to come up here, but that is a rule change that was announced last weekend at the time I'm recording this. Do I have time to Thoughtseize this opponent, or should I just Entomb Reanimate? I guess I want to Thoughtseize them. Maybe I'm being a coward. Well, let's see what's going on over there. Yeah, with Final Fantasy, because there are so many Saga creatures, and there are so many effects legal in Standard and all other formats. Oh, it's PO combo. This is fun. They changed the rules about Sagas to get rid of that weird fidgety thing where if it has more lore counters than chapters, it dies automatically. That's not true anymore as of the release of Final Fantasy. All right, well, that was about the best draw imaginable. All right, if I just draw a land, we're fine. Daze, okay. I think what I want to do here is just park the bus. Hope they don't have main deck graveyard hate. If this is PO combo, they might not. But I also might just die to some shit. Okay, constructs are 4/4, about to become 5/5. Hope there's not a Soul Guide Lantern in the mix. Manifold Key. Island. Bauble. So I'm taking 6 here. We have perfect info. We know we're going to get a monster here. We also know they could Otawara that monster. So the question is, what is the best monster to get? They can make one of their constructs unblockable. Atraxa could set up the second one. Grizzlebrand is not going to be good enough here. I think it has to be Archon. Yeah, kind of has to be Archon here. They reanimate Archon. I end up at 6 life, which means if they draw an artifact, I'm just dead anyway. They'll probably discard PO and keep the Otawara. Yep. All right, I found a land, but I am dead if I use it. Yeah, I think I'm going to be just a little behind here, like 1 life point behind. Oh, Seat of the Synod. Or I'm just dead now. It doesn't matter what they do. They could channel Otawara, or they could just activate Manifold Key. Okay. Alright, just a little behind. PO combo. Alright. Consign to Memory has some action. I'm not bringing in any of this pivoty stuff. Now they know they want Graveyard Hate. I don't think I want to try to play the One Ring against them. They are much better at doing that same thing than me. The Besejus could come in. They will have targets for them. Also have targets for Brazen Borrower. Daze is tricky because they are a combo deck where I want interaction. Alright, I think I'm going 0/1 rings, getting a Daze back in, 1 Beseju, 1 Brazen Borrower. The Petals and Rituals are my speed. Okay, I'm going to try this. I can't quite cast this Atraxa. I'm going to mulligan. No, I'm going to mulligan again. Going to look for that high roll. Oh god, it's not getting better. This is a turn 2 Entomb Reanimate. I guess I will keep this. Bottom Atraxa and Brainstorm, probably. That lets me keep my full combo plus Brazen Borrower if I need to clear Graveyard Hate. Reanimate. I don't want another one of those. Is it going to work or it's not? That's not the card I need. Seat, Petal, Emery. They milled over Manifold Key among artifacts they could deploy. We see Force of Negation. Force of Will is my best draw. Underground Sea. Okay. I'm going to start with Entomb. Normally if they have removal or counterspell, they use it here. Force of Negation, pitching Thoughtcast. Okay. There are no creatures in their graveyard for me to animate. Grim Monolith with Manifold Key in the graveyard. This is a fudge load of mana. Hope I don't get Coveted Jeweled or One Ringed here. They got 1 card left in hand. Is it a game-changing banger? Sure is. Alright. I need to draw an Entomb very quickly. Reanimate is not what I wanted. I could bounce the One Ring, which is not, like, that good. I could bounce Emery and hope that they mill over something I could animate. The only creatures in their deck are Emery, though. I could sit on this Brazen Borrower until a moment where it might be useful. I think I'm going to do that. Like, bounce the One Ring in response to them untapping it with Manifold Key. They drew their 2. Definitely feel like I'm losing, though. Urza Saga. They sacked Lotus Petal. I have a blue floating. Replayed Petal with Emery. Soul Guide Lantern. Alright, well, I already couldn't win. Settle down over there. Alright, now I have to hold Brazen Borrower to bounce Soul Guide Lantern. Ugh. Yep, alright. I don't think I'm winning. Maybe I should have mulliganed harder game 1. Just try to send it a little harder, or just not Thoughtseize them. I was 1 turn behind stability in game 1, and when I spent that turn Thoughtseizing them instead of just casting Entomb. But if their hand had Force in it, I would have lost on the spot if I didn't Thoughtseize them. Okay, another land, and I am out of here. I don't think I can actually come back from this. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in round 2. I have a turn 1 ring, or Thoughtseize, then some interaction. If I draw and reanimate, I can Thoughtseize myself. I am going to keep this. Once again, wish I was on the play where Daze is king. Chrome Mox, okay. What color? Black, okay. Well, it's not Oops All Spells because that's a swamp. I expect that they have Orcish Bowmaster. That would make sense given both the cards we see and everything else going on. I think I just want to Thoughtseize them here. What's going on over there? Okay, Bowmaster. If my plan is to cast the One Ring and run away with it, I should probably Daze this thing. And Daze it I shall. Oh, the One Ring. Look at that. Okay. A popular card this league. I will just pass here. I don't think I need to put this Lotus Petal into play. March of Wretched Sorrow makes me think this is a Necro Dominance deck. Okay, Underground Sea, Lotus Petal. And now I do the thing you were trying to do, opponent. Your deck is my deck. One Ring, Druid Tomb. And now we should just shred our way to victory. Unless they do something extremely powerful very quickly. Like if they hit a Necro Dominance, they could catch up and overtake me here. If they hit a Bowmaster, that's something I have to navigate through, but it's not game over. Boggart Bog, tapped, deal. Thoughtseize. Yeah, I'll start there. If there's a Bowmaster, I want to see it. All right, I'll take Duress. You can keep your March of Wretched Sorrow. It is, in fact, wretched. Right, no action yet. But the One Ring has this effect on game, so it just goes forever. Ancient Stellar Spawn. Okay, there it is. Polluted Delta, Undercity Sewer, Brainstorm. Yeah, I'll keep a Brainstorm. You have to watch out for the Stellar Spawn. If they draw like Soul Spike or something, it can kill me from a very high life total. I have played Ancient Stellar Spawn Mono Black on the channel before. Oy, oy, oy. All right, Brainstorm. There we go. Okay, I'm in the game now. Put back a bunch of these lands, and then I will hit them with an Archon of Cruelty, which should end the game. Dark Ritual, Entomb, Animate Dead this Archon. They lose their Stellar Spawn, they lose their March of Wretched Sorrow, and they lose the game. Okay, cool. Mono Black Stellar Spawn combo. Mono Black is very good at attacking graveyards, just as a strategy. I think it's safe to say. I definitely want Show and Tell, and I might want Barrowgoyf. Daze on the draw. I mean, the blue count for Force of Will is already kind of criminal in this pile, but I still think it's right to shave Daze. I'm bringing in Show and Tell. That's a better blue card. I think I'm going to shave one Animate Dead, one Lotus Petal, or I think I'm going to ignore Barrowgoyf. Show and Tell and Brazen Borrower. Brazen Borrower can knock back a Leyline or a Dothy Voidwalker. Show and Tell can ignore them completely. I'm actually netting 2 blue cards on this sideboard map. I like my mid-range stuff, the Shieldreds and the One Rings. That's pretty sweet. Yeah, I'm just going to try it like this. A turn 1 Shieldred. Of course, no blue card to go with my Force. But if they mulled a Leyline, I have a plan here. They mulled a 6. It's not a Leyline. It is a Dark Ritual. 2 Dark Rituals cast Leyline. Oh no. Alright, my thoughts. They probably take... Interesting, because if they take Shieldred, I just reanimate it. If they take Reanimate, I just cast Shieldred. They might take the Dark Ritual. Yeah, there it is. No surprise there. Okay, turn 1 Thoughtseize Bowmaster is like fine. The Undercity Sewer. I don't want a basic island. And if that hit a monster, I would have reanimated it right away off the Lotus Petal. High Octane Magic. Duress. This will probably take Reanimate. Unless they're worried about my mana. Like, they took the Ritual the first time. Are they worried about Petal now? Right, One Ring's gone. Thoughtseize, alright. They've officially beat the crap out of my hand, but they are left with just Orcish Bowmaster to deal all 19 remaining life total points before I do literally anything. Okay, here we go. Bowmaster has done its thing. I'm going to main phase fetch the other Undercity Sewers, try to high roll a monster here. Force of Will. I don't want that. I want to play Shieldred, not whatever's going on here. Alright, well, this is going to take Reanimate. That's a lot of discard spells, but still Shieldred is just waiting. Lotus Petal or Dark Ritual gets her into play a turn early. Finding a land is good. Any blue card I draw protects me for a turn. All right, I'm gonna hide the fact that I drew Underground Sea and play out the land that they know about. They can't play Oppo Agent even if they draw it. They only have 2 mana. And they can't Dark Ritual it out because they only have 1 card in their hand. All right, fetch the Underground Sea before I draw it by accident. Underground Sea, Shieldred. Is this enough to turn the game around by itself? They need to kill her basically immediately, or I'm going to take over. But if they do kill her immediately, I'm in some trouble. Well, she didn't die. And now I am representing Force of Will that they know I have. Beat down, here we go. Slow and steady. Already chump blocking. They know that's not going to help them any other way. And now I'm winning. Dark Ritual. No way, Jose. All right. They realized I know how to tap 5 mana for Force of Will, and okay. Weird match, but we did it. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the play in round 3 versus Joe L. It's been a while since we ran into each other. He has been back on Omni Show and Reanimate, his signature deck, after trying some other stuff. I actually have his up-to-date list in my Discord DMs right now that I'm not going to look at, but I do know what's going on over there. My hand is missing a lot. It's quite good if he's on a fast combo line, the Thoughtseize plus Force of Will, and if I could trick him into casting a Show and Tell, thinking that his thing will be better than mine. All right, I am going to try this just because I know what the matchup is. If I didn't, I think I would mulligan looking for something more thrilling. All right, Joe, what you got over there? Emrakul Atraxa, Force Fluster. Well, if I take Atraxa, I could reanimate it, but so could he. Okay, I don't want to do that. Flusterstorm's annoying, but it's better if I know about it. All right, I'll take the Force of Will. It's an interesting keep. This hand doesn't actually do anything, but this is the type of hand that if he draws a Show and Tell and just rams it, Archon will beat Emrakul for sure, and is likely to beat Atraxa. Joe is complaining in the chat that he just watched my my video with the Sundial of the Infinite Turns deck, and he cues into me on a try-hard deck. I mean, you're not wrong. I am gonna play around this Flusterstorm by not Thoughtseizing, and I know his hand doesn't really work right now, and the things that he probably thinks are good draws, I know aren't. So I'm just going to be patient with my Thoughtseize, work it through the Flusterstorm. Dark Ritual. All right, I'll Thoughtseize. At worst, I could just take the Flusterstorm here. Oh, we've got a Sneak Attack. I am worried about that. Okay. Yeah, Sneak Attack breaks parity on this in a way that I'm not happy with. I'm taking Sneak Attack. That leaves him with the Force and the Fluster. But I have my own Force, and I have Dark Ritual that can pay for a Fluster. Dumped Omniscience. Glad to see that go. That, like Sneak Attack, is something that breaks parity on Show and Tell. Ancient Tomb. All right, Undercity Sewer number 2. I do not want another land. Hey, there's Entomb. I don't have a Reanimate right now, but now I have half of something to make a plan out of. Okay, we're just passing back and forth. Brainstorm's not bad. I think I'm going to hold it for a second, though. I don't currently have... I have Entomb that could shuffle it, but if he has Sneak Attack in his deck, I don't think he has Reanimate. It's not like you normally have to plan those two things, but this is Joe, and this is what he does. He hasn't played a land in a while, which means the hand is 7 spells. I found a land. Lotus Petal. It's 1 raw mana away from casting Atraxa, but I don't think he has the colors between Ancient Tomb and Basic Mountain. Speaking of hard casting, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can cast Archon here. I'm not going to, because I know he has Force of Will. And ending up going to discard is not the worst thing for my deck if I dump this Archon, but then Show and Tell is actually a good card for him to play. Well, we might have just died. No, we definitely just died. Frustrating to draw 2 sneak attacks before you draw a single Show and Tell, but that's okay. And with no manipulation, there was no ponder, no stock up, no cards cast that would help get that in the hand. It was just there twice. Force pitching Atraxa. All right, I'll brainstorm now, even though I don't have high hopes. There's Thoughtseize, that would have been good. Oh wait, I can Force of Will. I could Dark Ritual to hardcast Force of Will, but that Flusterstorm is still over there, and he has enough mana. And I'm at 14 life, so I can't even like survive and then Entomb, Reanimate next turn. Bummer. All right. Well, that went poorly. Sneak attack, breaking it open. Okay, do I want to bring in my Show and Tells versus the Show and Tell deck? Probably not. What do I want to do? I mean, I think I just want to go fast here. I would have played this game pretty differently if I knew he was on Sneak Attack and not the Reanimate hybrid. But I just didn't draw any of my 7 Reanimate effects that game. Like, that's what really happened. I was ready to do a variety of things. All right, I don't think I want to be Barrow Goyfing. I don't think I want to be Showing and Telling. Brazen Borrower is really the only card I'm considering here. No, I'm just going to submit my main deck again. We're going for it. Or Surgical Extraction. I do have the Thoughtseizes, like taking his sneak attack and then removing them is pretty strong. Now I'm just going to try to jam. Okay. Keep. This is Thoughtseize into turn 2 Shouldred, or just turn 1 Shouldred. I'm going to Thoughtseize first. I'm a coward. Emrakul Force, Ponder, Brainstorm, Fluster. Right, I'm going to take Force of Will. Oh, on this Flusterstorm, he's going to have to be heads up to counter my Dark Ritual. Because if Shouldred resolves with this hand, I feel like I'm in good shape. And if he just casts Ponder here, then Flusterstorm's not even up. Okay, just playing around Opposition Agent, I guess. Alright, where are you, Joe? You ready to fluster this? And he's a combo player, so he has instincts for this sort of thing. Fetch. Lotus Petal. I don't think he has Daze, but just in case. Alright, Shouldred, get in there. You're my only hope, but you are very good against the hand we've seen. Yeah, gonna Brainstorm looking for Force here. Alright, she's in there. Okay, if opponent has a Show and Tell, I get an Atraxa out of the deal, and then I get to look at a pile of cards, or Grizzlebrand is actually gains life when I activate it, so I would put in Grizzlebrand. Opponent's in a position that has to ponder into the Shouldred, shuffle the library. I don't think he has a land right now, that's what's going on. And shuffled both of those ponders, and missed the land drop. Big game. Animate dead. I'm going to try not to reveal this, even though Dark Ritualing out of Shouldred should tell a story that I'm a combo deck. Opponent's at 7. In Ancient Tomb, Show and Tell, put in Omniscience is a plan. Do I have any recourse for that? Uh-oh. Well, there's that guy. Right, Ancient Tomb is here. Daze helps. Right, if Shouldred connects, this Ancient Tomb isn't going to work. Okay, cool. All right, we're over the hump. Opponent will draw down to 1. Can't use Ancient Tomb for mana anymore. Daze is in my hand. All right, sweet. Yeah, that Thoughtseize gave me the information to navigate around the Flusterstorm. I'm so tempted to mess around with Barrogoyf and Brazen Borrower here. I just can't help but feel like comboing is still my best option, though. Yeah, I'm just not going to change my deck again. The main deck 60 submitted 3 times in a row on purpose. Bonus on the play this time, though. Entomb, Reanimate. I'm going to send it multiple times and see what happens. Volcanic Island go from the opponent. Oh, my favorite. Thoughtseize. All right, I'm going to Thoughtseize, and then I can just Entomb Reanimate next turn. Beastorm to hide the goods. A dirty trick. I love casting Thoughtseize. Every time I get to play this card, I'm so happy. When Lorwyn first came out, it was like I think it had been out for about a week, and I went to the LGS to draft, and I opened a Thoughtseize, but I wasn't really dialed in on a Constructed. I was mostly a limited player at the time, believe it or not. That was a thing at one time in my life. And I opened a Thoughtseize. I read it and I was like, this doesn't seem that great in limited, and I took some uncommon that I think the pick was right. And then I passed it to the left. The owner of the game store is to my left. And then like 3 picks in, people started talking about the value of the set. And we were talking about Planeswalkers that were new. Like there were no planeswalkers before. That was a thing at one point too. And I was like, yeah, Garruk Wildspeaker is the most valuable card in the set. And the store owner was like, yeah, that's not true anymore. That was true the first day. And I was like, oh, well, what is the most expensive card in the set? Then he just sort of like shrugged and was like, Thoughtseize, knowing that I had just passed him that. Okay. I took one of the brainstorms because stock up is hopefully too far away to be useful. All right, another reanimate. Let's cook, team. Entomb. First one of these that I've placed on the stack in this match. Force pitching stock up. Okay. Oh no, bummer. What will I do now? Right, if opponent cracks this fetch, I will entomb in response when he has no mana. Right, I have perfect info. All right, go ahead, fetch. We'll see what happens here. If this is an end-step brainstorm, Thundering Falls. All right, now I'm going to entomb. He kept a card on top, though. A little spooky. Entomb. I think I want a Traxa here. And the Archon can help get his hand empty. I want to reload, though. I want to reanimate a Traxa and then reanimate something else in the same turn. Okay, what do you got? If it's Ancient Tomb, you can get Sneak Attack in. So Brainstorm, Sneak is the hand right now. Oh, Thoughtseize. Well, we know I like Thoughtseize. Okay, I'm going to Thoughtseize. So he can either Brainstorm in response, and then I take whatever card he keeps, or he can lose the Brainstorm to Thoughtseize. Yeah, that was always going to happen. All right, 3 lands. All right, so there's 2 Sneak Attacks on top of the deck. You got me, or something. All right, reanimate a Traxa. I go to 8 life, refill my hand. We've got Sewers as the only land. One Ring is an artifact. Shieldred is a creature. Is that a better creature than Grizzlebrand? I could take Careful Study and Grizzlebrand here. Careful Study, Grizzfather, Animate Dead, and Brainstorm. Wow, I get so many cards. 6 cards off an Atraxa. That's well above average. Okay. Undercity Sewer, Force of Will stay on top. And I guess I'm just going to pass and discard Grizzlebrand. Build your own Entomb. So he can shuffle for a random card or draw Sneak Attack with no monsters to put in. Those are the 2 options here. I drew the Sneak Attack. So going for a high roll makes sense. Just hitting a monster on the next draw step will go a really long way to killing me. If I draw a land this turn, though, and I get Ring Protection. Oh, holding a Sneak Attack. I like that because I just drew Force of Will. All right, if I draw a land this turn, knowing the top card of my deck, that's how cards work. What's going on? What's this? Where did this Pyroblast come from? How did that happen? Oh, because you see 3 cards off Brainstorm. So the next 2 cards are Sneak Attack on top of the deck. Fascinating. Okay, well, I don't need this Atraxa in play. In fact, I almost prefer her in the graveyard. All right, yeah, I mean, I lost track of something there. But yeah, I'll just have another Atraxa, though. Not worried about it. Re-Atraxified. Lotus Petal is an artifact. I'm not going to Thoughtseize. I'll take Undercity Sewers. Is Daze going to help? Is that better than Entomb? I have monsters. I'm not hurting for monsters. And I'm actually not even going to take the Reanimate. I will take Thoughtseize. Probably just going to go to clean up and discard it, but I will take it. Dark Ritual. No thanks. I've got mana just fine. And I'm going to animate Grizzlebrand here. Animate Dead. It's putting some pressure on. And I will go to clean up and discard Reanimate, I think. Or I don't need 2 One Rings. All right, yeah. 1 Ring's out. Force of Will. Now he has Sneak Attack in hand. There's nowhere else to hide it at this point. Okay, shuffled away the second Sneak Attack. Okay, so this is 12. Daze could do 2 damage. That doesn't change the clock, though, so I will just force this thing. Pitching Careful Study. Okay, we did it. A little awkward bookkeeping error, losing track of that 3rd card. But luckily it didn't kill me. On to the next round. GG's, Joe.
The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables.
Good. All right, here we go, gang.
In this YouTube series, hosts Cedric Phillips and Patrick Sullivan take us on a set-by-set journey through the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history.
Each episode is a focused deep dive into the facts about a set's design and release. The magic lore expressed through the cards in that set. Tournament edition gameplay videos featuring products and Pro Tour decks of the era. An award show that shouts out the best and weirdest cards of the set. And a final grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/theresleevables. I'm on the play for round 4. I have Entomb, and I have Brainstorm. I think I'm going to mulligan this. I'm going to lean into the nature of this deck and stop trying to play any sort of fair controlling magic. I say that, and then I get faced with a hand like this. This one having Force, Daze, and Entomb, this is basically the same overall strategy of the last hand, but actually makes sense. I think I am going to keep this and bottom the One Ring. I like Careful Study as an extra layer of protection. I can pitch that to Force and then still have Daze. And having Double Sewer insulates me versus Wasteland, and I could just high roll a monster off of one of them. But I don't have a Reanimate. Getting the monster in is half the battle, though. Alright, I am going to keep this hand and bottom the One Ring. Lead on Sewer, and this is what we have to do. Bayou. I do not want Bayou. And the cool thing about flipping that Bayou is I look like some bug Kaito deck or something here, not really like Reanimator. Well, now they know. I'll just daze that thing. Okay, and we're back. Back to where we started. Multiple Entombs going nuts here. Lotus Petal. Again, that's a mana source. Same thing as Bayou. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Reanimates. Opponent kept a 1-lander, it seems. A Sewer. Shieldred. I am actually going to leave Shieldred on top. Because if I'm playing against a Reanimator deck, I don't want to put Shieldred in there where they can grab it. Okay, Force, pitching, Careful Study. I am right that I'm playing against a Reanimator deck, which means I cannot just Entomb for value early. I have to go if I'm going to go. Alright, now you can Thoughtseize me, that's fine. Alright, Bloodstained Mire, pass. And now those 2 lands I've put in the graveyard look a little reckless. But I have to imagine my opponent has a Reanimate ready to go, and I don't. One Ring rips insanely hard. Oh, fuck. Alright. They're just going to be better at doing what they need to do than me, is how this game is going to end. Alright, yeah. Well, I had 3 lands, 2 Entombs, and no Reanimates. They had 1 land, 2 Entombs, 2 Reanimates. That is much better in the face-up mirror. Alright, Surgicals, Voidwalkers. I don't want to go full pivot, but one of the greatest sins you can commit in a Reanimator mirror is having your monster reanimated by their Reanimate. And I have 5 monsters to their probably 2. And these cards are definitely coming in. There's no question about that. Thoughtseize is great. The Reanimates go both ways. I love it. So here's a thought that I'm going to say out loud and then see how it sounds percolating out in the universe. What if I board out Force of Will? Obviously, this is a combo mirror, but I'm pretty bad at supporting Force of Will. I'm on the play. Every card matters. If they are on normal tempo Reanimator, my build with the petals and rituals will be faster than theirs. And I am turning 4 2-for-1 conditional piece of interaction into 4 1-for-1 conditional pieces of interaction. I still have Daze, that's 1-for-1. Is Show and Tell good? Like, if they are tempo Reanimator, if I cut Careful Study because I don't want to loot away a monster that just sits there if I'm not in control of it, this might be a disaster, but I also think it makes sense on levels that I need it to make sense on. Okay, on the draw, I'll bring my forces back in, but on the play, I'm going to try to be this guy, whoever this guy is. All right, well, here's the opposite of last hand, where I had 2 Entombs, no Reanimates. Now I have 2 Reanimates, no Entombs. I'm going to mulligan. All right, Entomb, Reanimate, Surgical in between. Keep. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep the Lotus Petal. My opponent's also on 6. Like, I could try to do this all on turn 1. All right, I'm banning one of the Entombs, and I'm just going to try to go hyper speed. Oh, no. Well, shit. I hope their hand is good, because I will need to take a monster out of it for this to work. Do I have any outs to this? Yeah, this is not a card in my list. It's not a card in normal stock blue-black Reanimator either. so it's not a card that I had a plan for. All right, well, have at it then. All right, so cast Shieldred or get the One Ring going are my choices, and eventually hardcast Archon of Cruelty or Grizzlebrand off my Dark Rituals. All right, they took my Reanimate. My Brazen Borrower's not in. I have Void Walkers. I can cast Void Walkers and beat down. I am going to need my 4th land at some point for all of the cards in my deck that still work. So I will keep this Marsh Flats, and then I can aggressively get rid of mana later. We're Grixis. Thundertrap Trainer. All right, opponent is in the lab over there. I have no idea what this list is, but it's pretty sweet. Force of Will is now a card I have to beat. Get the other sewer. Thoughtseize, yes. Okay, I am going to chill with this Thoughtseize, I think. Or do I want to make my move? All right, I'll make a move. Thoughtseize you. The thing to wait for would be a Reanimate, so I could Thoughtseize their hand and reanimate a monster out of it all at once. Well, Tamiyo is going to be hard to beat. Force of Will is actually impossible to beat, though. All right, I'm going to put Force of Will in the graveyard. And I can surgically extract the Force later if I draw Shieldred. That lets me look at their hand and make sure they can't counter spells. Yeah, there's Tamiyo. The Brainstorm can flip the Tamiyo. And we are seeing the strengths versus the weaknesses of traditional Reanimator versus the hybrid Reanimator decks that are so good and have been so good for the last 18 months. My opponent gets access to cards like Leyline, and I'm over here twiddling my thumbs. Ponder. I basically have to draw Shieldred immediately, or the One Ring, and really get something going. Bayou's not it. I will play the Bayou, though. And Thundertrap Trainer. Does that mean Flame of Anor is in this deck? It's in the right colors, and that's an incentive to do this. They are going speed to the top with Tamiyo. Barrowgoyf, come on. All right, now Shieldred's not even good enough to win the game. Okay. I am behind on every conceivable metric, and the best card in my deck can't even win here. I guess I will play on until I give myself one chance to hit a One Ring. That's something I could do. But this game is over. I've missed my window. This Leyline of the Void just made a clown out of me. Not a card I expected from what we saw game 1. Okay, so they're buying back a Thoughtseize. Go ahead. My hand sucks. You can have Thoughtseize. I'm going to surgical their Force of Wills in response. And then they can take what they want from the rest of the shit. Oh, Entomb and Animate Dead is the hand. Awesome. Okay, so what's going on here? Their deck has 2 Leyline of the Voids in it. That makes me feel really good about losing to it. Thoughtseize, Trainer, Tamiyo. Go ahead, screenshot this if you like this deck that we just played against. Okay, so there are 2 Leyline of the Voids, 4 Tamiyos, 4 Trainers, and the rest is actually just Turbo Reanimator. 2 Barrowgoyfs. So they hit this 2 of, this 2 of, this 4 of, and this 4 of. But it worked out in a way that made a fool out of me. All right, GG. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. On the play, in the final round, positive record on the line, I have turn 1 Entomb Reanimate, or once again, I can Thoughtseize. I'm going to Thoughtseize. I'm always going to Thoughtseize. If in the blind, I don't know what my opponent's doing. If they did something like reveal Devourer of Destiny at the start of the game, I would just go for it, but that didn't happen. Underground Sea. Playing on basics doesn't matter. Please wasteland me. I dare you. A Braid, Goblin Engineer, Pyroblast. Okay, they're very dead. I'll take Goblin Engineer and pass the turn. I think the only thing Mono Red Painter could do here is just rip a 1 of Soul Guide Lantern off the top. But I am completely cooked if that happens. All right, well, Lotus Petal's gone either way, so I can take my draw and see what it looks like before I decide how I'm going to spend mana. Okay, so they could Pyroblast Atraxa. Grizzlebrand I won't have enough life to activate. Archon kills the slowest, or Archon kills the fastest but draws cards the slowest. I think it's Archon. Archon, reanimate it. Yeah, I drew a land. I do need this to hold. If they have something like Lightning Bolt, Lotus Petal, then like a Braid plus Bolt can finish this off. If they put together Painter combo before their life total runs out. All right, another Archon. Maybe I'll draw 2 Dark Rituals and get it into play. Archon does kill insanely fast, though. There goes the Reb. That's not the Pyroblast we saw. That is a different card. And Brainstorm's a great draw. However, they have Pyroblast up that they're not going to spend this mana otherwise. So I'm just going to sit on this thing. Like, they are just dead if they don't figure this out. Okay, I'm going to fetch a Sewer in the end step. I am concerned that they haven't conceded yet. Do they think I'm going to forget to attack, or do they actually have something here? I'm going to dump Bayou. Wow, they actually do have it. Okay, there's the Lightning Bolt. This is exactly the sequence I said. All right, Brainstorm, looking for Daze, Force of Will, or a Reanimate spell. Didn't hit any of those. All right, 3, 4, 5, 6. Not quite at casting this Archon either. All right, this Archon's dead. Draw for turn. I'm going to fetch and surveil. Give myself as many looks as possible to hit the button here before it's too late. In this Thoughtseize. Brainstorm. Another Brainstorm. So they probably have a piece of Graveyard Hate they can tutor with this, which is what I'm trying to dance around. I can almost cast this Archon. No, I think I can cast it next turn. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, I can cast Archon next turn. All right. They drew the card they needed to not quite die yet. The hand is Pyroblast and 2 unknowns. Making a construct is a good sign. That means their hand sucks. Nothing better to spend mana on than this 2/2. Soul Guide Lantern, pretty good. But I'm now over the hump with that. Okay, I'm going to fetch with Polluted Delta. I'll get basic Swamp, and I'm just going to count very carefully. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're good. Another one. Cool. All right. The second Archon did. The third set of Archon triggers. Or was it the fourth? I think it attacked twice. It attacked once. Yeah, it attacked once. Okay. All right, we're playing against Red Painter. This is a deck that can play main deck tutorable Graveyard Hate, as we saw. They're also a deck that does not play Force of Will. They're a little bit of a graveyard deck themselves for Voidwalker considerations. Boseiju is good against most of the cards they play. Consigned to Memory hits a bunch of the stuff that they have, like Saga, Painter, Fable. You could fight some of the triggers on that. Am I trying to juke them? I hate Force of Will versus decks with Pyroblast. They're also a fast mana deck, like Ancient Tomb, Mox Opal, Simian Spirit Guide, like all are cards or could be cards in their deck. Baragoi, Brazen Bar, or Boseiju. I could just bring these in. Do I want to back off of animating at all? On the play, like if it goes to a game 3, I think I'm just going to full send. But Leyline of the Void is a card that they might have and mulligan to. Does that mean I want the Show and Tells versus the known Pyroblast deck, or do I just want Dothies and try to pivot? This is a deck that could put scary things in off of Show and Tell, but it's also a deck that I could Thoughtseize those things away. Can I figure out 3 slots for Show and Tell in the 50 seconds I have left? What if I go no Animate Deads, -1 Entomb, -1 Reanimate? Like, that package is still in there, but the most obvious way to hate it is now not as relevant. All right, that might have been a disaster, but I'm in. And look at this hand. Pivot creature, pivot creature, pivot creature, pivot action. I'm ready to game. This is the type of hand where I want them to like mull to 5 to find a Leyline. Or I hope that they have 2 Surgical Extractions in their hand. Or I hope that they have Turnwood Soul Guide Lantern. What I hope they don't do is just ignore my combo and play their own deck. Because my hand's pretty bad against that. But they just had the Leyline in the first 7. Okay. I hope they kept the sketchy hand on the strength of that. Great Furnace, Tormod's Crypt. Let's go. Alright, so they basically mulled to 5. I don't care about either of these cards. How good are the remaining 4 cards, though? Traxa, there you are. I will need my opponent to put some cards in the graveyard for Baragoi to ever have power and toughness, and if I play the Stothy Voidwalker, that's not going to happen. That's kind of a funny non-bow in the situation. Sewer. Love Brazen Borrower. I will not be playing around Blood Moon. If that's something they have, they got me. Stothy Voidwalker, let's go. Arena of Glory can set up some crazy stuff. But the crazy stuff it could normally set up, like play Goblin Engineer and use it right away, doesn't matter as long as Voidwalker's in play. Oh my god. Alright, well, I said I'm not playing around it. And it was the truth. My deck does have Lotus Petals in it. I do have one of each basic if I draw them naturally. Thoughtseize that I can't cast. I'm also winning the damage race. Okay, here we are. Yeah, if they just play Lightning Bolt, they probably win. How bad was not fetching Swamp there? Like, at the time, it felt like I needed perfect mana, and it is what it is. But was that even true? Like, if I get basic Swamp there, what do I need double blue for ever? Yikes. Alright, well, there it is. Now I need a Lotus Petal to even try to play the game. Or one of my basics. Either of my basics is really good. Lotus Petal gives me one shot to rule them all. Grindstone. Reanimate. Alright, well, I'll discard Reanimate to hand size here. Yeah, I think not fetching Swamp was just bonehead action. Alright, I could cast the One Ring now if I draw it. That's something I can do. I'm at 10. Dark Ritual doesn't help. I will discard Grizzlebrand to hand size here. The Dark Ritual lets me unload multiple things if I do find a Petal or Swamp before I'm dead. Brainstorm, tough. I guess this 0-1 Barrowgoyf is going to go now. Yeah, I am going to get soloed by this Magus of the Moon because I didn't fetch basic Swamp. Show and Tell. I'm going to try really hard not to show them that Show and Tell is a card that I have. I'm going to discard Brainstorm. Oh, okay, interesting. Do I want them to have this information? I guess I'm still playing the game. All right, Entomb Brainstorm didn't give up any info. Discard another Brainstorm. Yeah, the only card I'd be really worried about them milling over is Show and Tell, and I'm holding 2 of the 3 that I play. Fable. All right, dead. Well, shit. I love losing to shit that I could have easily played around. Okay, we've seen Tormod's Crypt and Leyline of the Void. I have my answers to those things in already. I still don't like Force of Will. On the play, Daze gets a bit better. Yeah, I really lost that game to Blood Moon and not to anything else, so just don't fetch like a doofus and things are better. Yeah, I'm playing the same deck. This hand does not work. I'm going to mulligan it. This is a turn 1 Show and Tell. I will keep. We've seen Spirit Guide in their deck. I think I'm going to get rid of the Barrowgoyf. One Ring versus Barrowgoyf is so whatever. Like, Barrowgoyf's more castable. Atrex is going to look at 10 cards, though. One Ring is probably better. All right, I'm going to bottom Barrowgoyf. Talk myself into it. All right, they did not have a Leyline. Now I have to hope they don't have Spirit Guide plus Reb. And here I'm actually not playing around Blood Moon. You can't make me do it. Okay, the Show and Tell resolved. You have Goblin Engineer. I have Atraxa. Something like Ensnaring Bridge. Yep, there it is. Okay, here we go. Atraxa pile. Dark Ritual is the only instant. I will take that. Thought seizing them or having my next Reanimate lined up, what do I think is more important? I'm taking basic Swamp. I'm not getting clowned by that shit again. I think Brazen Borrower is better than Archon. I can't take Thoughtseize and Reanimate to Thoughtseize myself, then Reanimate the Archon. Thoughtseize versus Reanimate. I think it's Thoughtseize. I have put myself ahead. I'm going to make choices that try to stay there. I did spike the turn 2 One Ring. Glad I kept that over Barrowgoyf. They know I have Brazen Borrower, so setting up a line where they go all in, like sacking a Great Furnace to put Ensnaring Bridge into play is not very good. If they have the Pyroblast in their deck still, Atraxa is soft to them. There's the Great Furnace. Okay. So they would have to sack their only land to not take 7 here. And they know I have the Brazen Borrower, so that's like not even a good play. Okay, but they have committed to it. Do we get a... Alright, we just got a Stone Rain out of that. Now Ensnaring Bridge is in their hand, where unless they come up with 3 mana next turn, I can Thoughtseize it away and play the One Ring. Mountain. Okay, they have Pyroblast. Fine. Not a big deal. Grizzlebrand. Alright, well, I'm going to Thoughtseize my opponent, see what they're working with. Soulguide Lantern, Goblin Engineer, Painter Servant. Painter in the graveyard is something they can flip around with Engineer. I think I want to take Engineer. A Soulguide Lantern, they would not be able to recur this turn, but they could next turn. Yeah, I think I have to take the Soulguide Lantern because reanimating is part of my ways to actually win here. Alright, I'm taking Soulguide Lantern, and then I'll cast the One Ring. Marsh Flats does not get Basic Island, something that I totally knew when I activated it. Okay, Dark Ritual, One Ring, and try to grind my way up here without getting grinded. There's both good grinding and bad grinding. Much like in life, this game has good and bad grinding. Here's Saga, Painter. We're getting ready for the Send. Named Blue. The One Ring is blue, just the flavor text that we all knew. Brainstorm, looking for a hitter. All right, Reanimate is the hitter. That can let me Atraxa here, put back Sewer and Island. Or wait, hold on. But I'd rather Archon here, because I can. But I'd rather Grizzlebrand here, because I can do that too. I think I would like to use Atraxa to amass enough gas to then do something else. Okay, I'm going to put back... How many cards can I draw if I Grizzle? I would have to reanimate from 22 down to 14. I can draw 7 cards. That is fewer cards seen than Atraxa, but it is more cards in my hand than Atraxa. I have to keep track of the One Ring as the thing that's going on over here. Yeah, I think it's Atraxa. I'll put back the 2 lands, and then if I reanimate Atraxa, I look at those 2 lands again, but I get to keep Flooded Strand available. Atraxa, rejoin the party. We hit another reanimate, another One Ring. These are all blue. Okay. The only creatures are Dothy Voidwalker. I'll click on that one. Lotus Petal is a better artifact for me. I think I want Island as my land. I have Entomb and Reanimate here. Well, that makes it easy. That's my instant. That's my sorcery. Okay, done. That worked out mostly how I wanted. Entomb. Get the other Archon. Fetch for the other Underground Sea. Reanimate the Archon. I know they have Ensnaring Bridge in their hand. I'm going to have to find a way to get through that, but I'm going to trust the One Ring to make that happen. And they have to lose the Engineer, though, so they don't even have the Reanimate for that. Okay, play Lotus Petal, and they have to get Ensnaring Bridge into play here, or kill me outright with some combo. And I have a 4-card dig. I am dead on board, though. Like, if I don't find an out to any of their situation here, I do just lose to Grindstone. All right, where is that Clutch Boseiju? I boarded them in. I've seen most of my deck at this point. Barrogoyf. Not it. All right, One Ring, save me. We found Boseiju. Ooh, that was fucking scary, honestly. All right. Boseiju, the Ensnaring Bridge. That should do it. All right. A positive record with Combo Reanimator. A deck that, and this list has just enough pivot points that I feel like I did not know what was going on most of the time. Having Barrogoyf as just a beatdown object, and then Dothy Voidwalker and Brazen Borrower, which are beatdown objects that also have like spell and hate implications. But then we also have Show and Tell. Like, do Show and Tell and Barrogoyf come in together, or are those separate packages? Are you ever supposed to cut as hard into the reanimation package as I did in that last round, which I did win using most of my sideboard cards? Scoreboard. Obviously, like any deck, you need to do your homework and understand your matchups, and doing this on the fly is going to be hard and you're going to lose a lot of points. But as far as executing a Reanimator plan with some soft pivot options, I feel like we showcase what the deck can do. Cool, Rob. Thank you for sharing it with this channel. Everyone, thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, check out the Patreon. I'll see you next time.